The last leaf. In a small, old apartment building in Greenwich Village, two young women, Sue and John C., lived together as friends and aspiring artists. They were both talented and shared a passion for painting. The arrival of autumn brought with it the inevitable chill and melancholy of the season. One November evening, John C. fell ill with pneumonia. Her condition worsened rapidly, and soon she was confined to her bed, unable to do much besides watching the falling leaves through her window. She became convinced that when the last leaf on the ivy vine outside her window fell to the ground, she would also die. Sue, deeply concerned for her friend's well-being, tried her best to care for John C. She cooked nourishing meals, fetched the doctor, and made every effort to lift John C.'s spirits. But John C. remained stubborn in her belief that she would not recover. One bleak evening, Sue sought solace in the company of Mr. Behrman, an old painter who lived on the ground floor of their building. Mr. Behrman had never achieved the artistic success he had hoped for and had settled into a life of anonymity, often grumbling about his failures. Despite his cantankerous exterior, he had a soft spot for Sue and John C. Sue confided in Mr. Behrman about John C.'s strange fixation on the last leaf, and how it was causing her to lose hope. Mr. Behrman, in his usual gruff manner, dismissed John C.'s notion as foolishness but promised to take a look at the ivy vine the next morning. The night was cold and stormy, with rain and wind lashing at the windows. John C. lay in bed, her eyes fixed on the dwindling number of leaves clinging desperately to the ivy vine. With each gust of wind, another leaf would fall, and John C. grew weaker. She whispered to Sue that she believed tonight would be the night when the last leaf would drop and she would succumb to her illness. Sue, desperate to save her friend, prayed silently for a miracle. She wished that the last leaf would somehow endure the storm and give John C. a reason to fight for her life. Morning came, and Sue anxiously peered out the window to see the ivy vine. To her astonishment, the last leaf still clung to its branch, despite the fierce storm that had raged all night. Sue rushed to John C.'s bedside and shared the miraculous news. John C. was amazed and, for the first time in days, found a glimmer of hope. Sue continued to nurse John C. back to health, and with each passing day, the last leaf remained steadfast, defying the odds. John C.'s strength gradually returned, and she began to regain her appetite and energy. The sight of the resilient leaf outside her window became a symbol of hope and determination for both women. As Johnsy regained her health, Sue shared the story of Mr. Behrman's promise to check on the ivy vine. They chuckled at his grumpy demeanor and wondered if he had actually done anything to protect the leaf from the storm. One day, Sue decided to visit Mr. Behrman and thank him for his help. She found him in his dimly lit apartment, holding a palette and brush. He was sitting beside an easel with a canvas that bore a remarkable painting, a perfect likeness of the ivy vine with the last leaf still clinging to its branch. It was a masterpiece. Tears welled up in Sue's eyes as she realized the true extent of Mr. Behrman's sacrifice. He had risked his health in the midst of the stormy night to paint the leaf in place of the real one, in order to give Johnsy hope and save her life. Mr. Behrman had finally achieved greatness as an artist through this selfless act. Sue rushed back to their apartment and shared the story with Johnsy, who was deeply moved by Mr. Behrman's sacrifice. They both understood the profound lesson that their neighbor had taught them, that true art is not about fame or recognition but about the power to inspire and bring hope to those in need. The days grew warmer, and Johnsy's recovery continued. She and Sue embraced life with renewed vigor, cherishing each moment and finding inspiration in the beauty of the world around them. They never forgot the lesson they had learned from the last leaf and the humble artist who had painted it. Time passed, and Mr. Behrman's health deteriorated further due to his exposure to the cold and rain. He eventually succumbed to pneumonia, leaving behind a legacy of selflessness and an unforgettable work of art. The last leaf became a cherished story in the neighborhood, a reminder of the enduring power of hope and the importance of selfless acts of kindness. Sue and Johnsy continued to paint and create, sharing their art with the world, but they also carried with them the memory of the last leaf and the artist who had touched their lives so profoundly. And so, in the heart of Greenwich Village, the story of a stubborn young woman, a caring friend, and a selfless artist was passed down through generations, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the enduring beauty of true art.